Hey, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Football Therapy with me, your host, Jan. I hope you're doing well, mate. I really do hope that. Welcome back to Chelsea News, of course, the daily series here on the channel, mate, where I reflect on what's being said about Chelsea, giving you my opinion on it, more importantly, asking for yours. Goalkeeper heavy today. Chelsea have signed a goalkeeper. Ooh la la, a Real Madrid target. Also, on goalkeepers, Kepa Transfer going to Napoli on loan. Good, I guess, for a couple of reasons, but we are paying a lot of his wages, potentially, reportedly. Centre-back, Gvardiol, apparently is a dream for Thomas Tuchel, and of course Wesley Fofana is another player we're looking at, and we should sign more players. So settle in, get comfortable, thank you for dropping a like. See how many likes we can get on the video, it helps me out, just a click of a button for you, man. Why wouldn't you want to do it? You're welcome to subscribe, should you choose to do so. You know what to do. You hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Okay. Guys, this video is brought to you by SPITCH. I really need to move my webcam on this bit here. SPITCH is fantasy football. The season is starting. It's time to get settled in. SPITCH is free. It's free, and you can win money. Look, the season modes, man. You can win up to a prize pool of 2,500 for free, or indeed do the buy-in one, which, as you can see to over here, is 50,000, which is a lot of money. You can play for free, or you can wager money every week. It utilizes an Opta stats engine, so it rewards you for actually knowing about football other than other fantasy footballs. It's really good, man. It's free. Check it out. Click the link in the top of the description to go get yourself ready for the season, baby girl. Sweet. Let's move on. Welcome back to the studio. Chelsea, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fabrizio Romano, exclusive. Gaga Slonina to Chelsea. Here we go. Agreement with Chicago Fire for 15 million euros, which is about 12 million pounds, I think. Add-ons included. Talented goalkeeper, and his agent will fly to London on Sunday. That's today, to complete his medical and sign. Slonina will finish the season with Chicago Fire. Of course, it's in the MLS before joining Chelsea on January the 1st. So he will join us this season. He's just finishing the MLS season, and then he's going to come over. Now, he's a talented goalkeeper. Real Madrid wanted him. Don't dismiss this and wave this away. He's a goalkeeper who Chelsea want. Chelsea are looking to offload Kepa Transfer. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Could Slonina come in and be Chelsea's number 2? Because I can't see Marcus Bernelli being promoted to number 2, which might be a little bit harsh, because he actually did play a lot of games for Fulham before he came to Chelsea, and I think he's actually younger than Edouard Mendy, or he's the same age, so it's not like he's this 38-year-old. But I do think Bernelli will stay third. Slonina is a really highly rated goalkeeper. I know Chelsea have a couple of good youth academy goalkeepers as well at the moment. But maybe they're looking at Gaga to come in and be number 2 to Edouard Mendy. And maybe the long-term successor, because it does feel like perhaps, Kepa Transfer is not going to be the long-term successor. And at the moment, yeah, he's on way too much wages to not play, so that will bleed into the next story. But yeah, Chelsea have made their third signing of the transfer window. We want at really another 3, to be honest. Obviously, more outfield players would be good. Another defender, maybe another attacker if we do indeed lose another attacker on loan or a sale, and maybe even a midfielder. Of course, we've been talking about Frankie de Jong. We've been talking about conventional CDMs over for God knows how long, whether it be Aurélien Tchouameni or Declan Rice. There's a lot of players to consider, but ladies and gentlemen, Gaga Slonina, here we go. Chelsea player. Don't dismiss that. It's good. So let's keep on talking about goalkeepers, baby. Before we talk about defenders. Chelsea's Kepa in talks over Napoli loan move by Adam Crafton and Simon Johnson on The Athletic. Chelsea goalkeeper Kepa Transfer is in discussions over a loan move to Serie A side Napoli. The Athletic understands. It is believed that the talks are underway and an agreement is expected to be reached in the coming days. I thought he'd go to Lazio because of Maurizio Sarri, but this is interesting. The 27-year-old has endured a tricky time in West London since his move from Atletico Bilbao in 2018 for a world record fee for a goalkeeper. His second season at Chelsea under Frank Lampard in 2019-20 was overshadowed by several high-profile mistakes. Not just the high-profile mistakes, his save percentage was by far the worst in the Premier League, like 20th place. And granted, Frank Lampard's defence wasn't conducive to, but his save percentage as well. It's like the amount of shots you save. So, it was really bad for Kepa. Kepa then had an error-strewn beginning of the following campaign. Oh, okay, so maybe there was that one. And saw Edouard Mendy brought in from Rennes before the close of the transfer window. Mendy has been Chelsea's number one since, under both Lampard and his successor, Thomas Tuchel. Kepa was restricted to 15 appearances for Chelsea last season, featuring predominantly while Mendy was at AFCON, essentially, with Senegal. He has lost his place to Spain in the Spain squad, having one stage looked to be ahead of David De Gea and Unai Simon in the national team. He didn't look. He was ahead of David De Gea. David De Gea had like a really awful World Cup in 2018, and ever since Kepa was number one. Look, so that's on the Athletic. They talk about that a little bit more. The Metro are reporting that Chelsea are willing or understood to be willing to pay 75% of Kepa's salary. It is understood Chelsea have agreed to pay 75% of Kepa's salary, which is in the region of £150,000 per week. £150,000 a week is a lot for a goalkeeper, but it's, the world record goalkeeper. He was young, he was highly rated. Real Madrid wanted him, Chelsea wanted him. It's not, we put him on a 7-year deal. So Napoli is a good opportunity for him. He might have even spoken to Jorginho and indeed now Kalidou Koulibaly, who's just come from Napoli. Chelsea, of course, would have had recent negotiations with, De Laurentiis of Napoli for the purchase of Kalidou Koulibaly. It's probably a good move. They're a Champions League team, aren't they, Napoli? I'm pretty sure. If he's playing as the first team goalkeeper, should get him to the World Cup, the squad. Whether he'll start over Simon, who's been starting for Spain, I don't know. But he, get him back in the squad. He's a good goalkeeper, Kepa. He's good with his feet. He can make good shots. He can make good stops, and he is, on his day, he's really good at penalties, saving them. So there is a goalkeeper in there. Chelsea probably see paying this guy that much wages just to sit on his bench and depreciate as an asset when he could be a valuable asset. They're just like, look, it might actually be worth just paying most of his wages, saving, a little bit, every month, and also giving a youngster a chance to step up in his absence. Mendy's good, but Mendy isn't perfect. I love Edouard Mendy. I love his story. I love how he was unemployed 7 or 8 years ago, and he's now a champion of Europe and champion of Africa, and he's a good guy, and he's a good goalkeeper, but he's not perfect. I'm not saying we should replace him. No, he's our number one. But he's in his 30s now, and maybe we could start thinking, right, whether it's a Gaga Slonina that we've just spoken about or another Chelsea youngster, start training them and going, right, you're going to be waiting in the wings for, and if Mendy slips in a couple of years, you come in and you're just, you're a worldie, and Kepa, best of luck to you, maybe you don't fit the profile anymore. Maybe we do want a slightly taller goalkeeper with a bigger wingspan in the goal for the Premier League, etc., etc. But it speaks volumes that Chelsea are willing to pay that much of his salary, if we do believe those reports, and that's coming from Di Marzio, of course, Italian publication journalist. What do you think about that? Pretty wild, man, but it is important to sort goalkeepers out. It's a huge part of an elite team. You need to have 1 and 2 sorted out at an elite level, and many think we do with Kepa and Mendy, but in terms of business acumen, you loan him, get that much wages paid. He signs a new long-term deal at Napoli, maybe for slightly less wages, but there's longer job security because they might sign him on a longer-term deal, etc., etc. Let's move on. So we do want another defender no matter what. I'm going to cite the Chelsea Chronicle by Jerry Crisandi, talking about what Fabrizio Romano has said on Joško Gvardiol, who apparently is untouchable, but Tuchel really likes. Of course, we are in talks with RB Leipzig with Timo Werner's potential return. RB Leipzig centre-back Joško Gvardiol is currently Chelsea manager's Thomas Tuchel number one defensive target, according to Fabrizio Romano. Despite the obvious need for new defenders following the departures of Rudiger and Christensen, Koulibaly remains Chelsea's only defensive signing so far. Of course, as well, you could talk about how Azpilicueta wants to leave. Bear in mind, earlier this month, Tuchel admitted that he needs at least one more defender. The Blues were in the race for Jules Koundé, who eventually joined Barcelona after doubts from the English club's camp, according to Sevilla sporting director Monchi. I'm sure many of you guys have seen the quotes. If you've not, the sporting director at Sevilla, Monchi, who's a tough negotiator, he said, look, we agreed to deal with Chelsea. They had doubts. They were sort of in and out. They said no, and then they sort of came back in. So really it was on Chelsea. A lot of people thought that it was purely a Koundé snub, but it does sound like Chelsea had major doubts and they just kind of like sacked him off. Romano claims that Chelsea are working on 2 centre-back targets: Leicester City's Fofana and Leipzig's Gvardiol, if that's how you say it, with the latter reportedly higher on the list. Interesting. Look, man, you guys know I love Wesley Fofana, but Gvardiol is an amazing player as well. If they're the 2 targets and we get one of those, absolutely fine, ladies and gentlemen. I imagine many of you feel the same. So a quote from Romano saying this: Gvardiol is one of the top names on Chelsea's list. Thomas Tuchel is in love with this player, the Italian transfer expert said on his YouTube channel. Let me say that he's option number 1 on the list. But as of today, the situation on Leipzig's side is the same. They have no intention to sell him, so it's going to be more complicated. For Fofana, easy for me to say, it's difficult, but you can negotiate. For Gvardiol, it's not even the case. He's considered untouchable by Leipzig, so Chelsea would need a miracle to sign Gvardiol. Romano added Chelsea have already tried the proposal swap deal for Gvardiol, offering Timo Werner's services on loan as part of the deal. While Leipzig's reportedly keen on Werner, they remain reluctant to let go of Gvardiol. At the moment, it's more difficult because Leipzig do not want to sell the player, Romano added. Can't talk English today, ladies and gentlemen. But Chelsea tried. Let's see if something can happen. Look, anything can happen. If Barcelona can pull 7 elite expensive signings out of their anus when they are flat broke, and they can't even pay their own players, maybe Chelsea can make a miracle happen. Dreams can come true. Chelsea gonna sign Fofana or Gvardiol. You got to have them. You got to. That went way too long. What do you think, boys, girls, ladies and gentlemen? Goalkeepers, ins, outs, shaking all the bouts, and defenders. Who knows? Maybe an attacker and a midfielder. The season is a-coming. We watched a little shout out to watch the charity community shield, whatever it's called these days. Loads of people, dampening their their pants, going, "Oh, they're so good, Man City and Liverpool." I really don't give a crap. The game was quite good. It was funny to see Núñez score and Haaland miss a sitter. I wouldn't read too much into either of those things. But yeah, looking forward to the season massively. And I'm looking forward to a couple more signings. So if you are too, please drop a like on video. Subscribe if you are new. Remember, I will be reacting to all the news here first on the channel. So make sure you hit that sweet, sweet bell, baby. Sweet man, I look forward to seeing you very